The Vex Citadel on Venus. It was in Destiny 1, but made a strange appearance this season in the Black Garden. The Citadel has strange connections to the Vex, time travel, and the Ishtar researchers who explored it long ago. Is it a coincidence or a warning that their logo now appears inside the structure itself in Vex form? Let's take a look. In Ghost Fragment Vex 4, the flavor text says, Maya Chioma, Dwayne McNead, and Shim decide to have a picnic before they send themselves into infinity. These are the Vex researchers from Ishtar, and they're about to explore the Citadel. Up here, they have to act by biochemical proxy. No human being in the Ishtar Academy has ever crossed the safety cordon and walked the ancient stone under the Citadel, the Vex construct that stabs up out of the world to injure space and time. It is not safe. The cellular Vex elements are infectious, hallucinogenic, and theogenic. The informational Vex elements are more dangerous yet, and there could be symbiotic hazards beyond them, aggressive ideas, Vex who exist without a substrate. Even now, operating remote bodies by Neuralink, the team's thoughts are relayed through the Warmind who saved them. Sandboxed and scrubbed for hazards, their real bodies are safe in the Academy, protected by distance and neural firewall. But they walk together in proxy, pressed close, huddled in awe. Blue-green light the color of an ancient sea washes over them. Each of their explorer bodies carries a slim computer. Inside, 227 copies of their own minds wait, patient and paused for dispersal. I wonder where it came from, Dwayne McNead says. Of course, he's the one to break the reverent silence. The Citadel, I wonder if it was here before the Traveler changed Venus. It could have been latent, Chioma Essie suggests. She's the leader. She kept them together when it seemed like they faced actual, eternal torture. She pulled them through. Seated in the crust, waiting for a period of geological quiescence so it could grow. Dr. Shim shrugs. I think the Traveler did something paracausal to Venus, something that cut across space and time. The Citadel seems to come from the past of a different Venus than our own. It doesn't have to make any sense by our logic, any more than the moon's new gravity. Maya Sundaresh walks at the center of the group. She's been too quiet lately. What happened to them wasn't her fault, and maybe she'll believe that soon. What could you do with it? She murmurs, staring up. If you understood it. Chioma puts an arm around her. That's what we're here to find out, where the Citadel can send us, whether we can come back. They're not us anymore. Maya looks down at herself, at the cache of her self-forks. We're not going anywhere. We're sending them. They're diverging. They rescued themselves from the inside of a Vex mind, 227 copies of themselves, untortured and undamaged. Those copies voted, all unanimously, to be dispatched into the Vex Information Network as explorers. When Maya and Chioma look at each other, they can tell they're each wondering the same thing. How many of them will stay together, wherever they go? How many Fork Mayas and Fork Chiomas will fall out of love? How many will end up bereft, grieving? How many will be happy like them? Chioma tries a little smile. Maya smiles back, haltingly, and then, sighing, unable to stop herself, grins a big stupid grin, an everything is okay grin. Shim makes a loud obnoxious "aw" at them. Dwayne McNead is still thinking about paracausality and doesn't notice. They climb. When they find the Vex aperture they plan to use, they overlay the luminous stone and ancient brassy machines with images of sun and sand. They set up the transmitters and interfaces that will translate 227 simulations of the four of them into Vex language, into the tangled pathways of the Vex network to see what's out there and maybe come home. In the metaphor they've chosen, setting up the equipment is like laying out a picnic. In the metaphor they've chosen, they look like themselves, not hardened explorer proxies, like people. Do you think, Dwayne McNead begins, halting, that you could use this place to change things? If you regretted something, could you find a way through the Citadel, go back and change it? I wish I could go back and change you into someone else, Dr. Shim grouses. Chioma is shaking her head. She knows physics. Time is self-consistent, she says. I think it's like the story of the merchant and the alchemist. You could go back and watch something or be a part of something, but if you did, then that was the way it always happened. Maybe you could bring something back to now, something you need. Maya runs a hand across the surface of the Vex aperture, feeling it with sensors 10,000 times as precise as a human hand. These proxy bodies are limited. They crash and need resetting every few hours. They struggle with latency. They can't hold much long-term memory, but they'll get better. Or go forward and learn something vital if you knew about how to control it, how to navigate across space and time. So it's just a way to make everything more complicated, Dwayne McNead sighs. It doesn't fix anything. Nothing ever does. I should have taken that job at... You would have hated it at Clovis, Dr. Shim says. We both know you're happy you're here. Dwayne McNead stands shunned by this courtesy, and then they both pretend to ignore each other. The four of them set up the interface. Their stored copies wake up and prepare for the journey, so that as they work, they find themselves surrounded by the mental phantasms of themselves. 227 Mayas and Chiomas knocking helmets and smiling. 227 Dr. Shims making cynical bets with each other about how long they'll last. 227 Dwayne McNeads blowing goodbye kisses to the sweet golden sun. 227 of them shaking hands, smiling, making ready to explore. So that card is very interesting and very long. The Ishtar team were on Venus. This is where they did most of their studies. The whole Vex simulating incident also happened here. It was too dangerous to explore the Citadel on foot due to Vex infection and threats, so they used this neural link to control proxy bodies and explore safely. This tech would later be used partially in Exos. They discussed the Citadel itself, that it might predate the travelers' changes to Venus, its connection to paracausality and link to different versions of Venus. Their mission was to understand the Citadel, or at least try to, and eventually reach the interface of the Citadel where they transported the copies of themselves from that Subject 12 incident into the Vex network to explore. This is where they released them. A line from that card read, "Maybe you could bring something back to now, something you need." This place deals with time travel, and in the House of Wolves expansion from Destiny 1, Skolas used this Citadel to bring back what he needed, the entire House of Wolves faction. In the House of Wolves mission, Skolas attempts to use Vex technology, even acquiring some of it for his own. He's trying to become the Kel of Kel and use the Citadel for his own needs involving time travel, trying to pull the entire House of Wolves through time at the top of this spire.
The House of Wolves is on the march. They're surrounding Vex strongholds across the Ishtar Sink. Every soldier under his command is down there. I'm getting a fallen comm channel interlaced with Vex coding. Whatever he's doing, I've never seen anything like this before. He's mad. Okay, that's not a good sign. The wolves are assaulting the Vault of Glass. What is Skolas planning? So Skolas wanted to use the oracles as taps into the Vex network. This isn't just a hunt. A fallen house with Vex technology is a threat to the whole system.
I was House Judgment Scribe. I stood with Skolas for much of Reef Wars. Now, I stand with you in Judgment of Wolfkill. That feels right somehow.
Skolas' catch. This is it, Guardian. What? Guardian, there are dozens of New Wolf signatures, and the number keeps growing. It's the Vex tech. Skolas! He's pulling the entire House of Wolves through time! He has nowhere left to run. Take him down! The House of Wolves is broken. Stand by for a transmission.
Fallen phase in with Vex technology as the Guardian traps Skolas for Queen Mara. So the Citadel has connections, of course, to Vex, its creators, and time travel used by the Ishtar researchers and Skolas and the House of Wolves. The new Starcrossed mission is set in the Black Garden. This is where Tyrannus made his Ahamkara lair. He and Riven would dance through these flowers together many times, and this is where their whims were created. We know Tyrannus' fate, making his own wish to keep the egg safe and ceasing to exist, the Guardian acquiring the Wishkeeper exotic bow near his corpse. Week after week, we discover celestial anomalies in the Dreaming City and Garden that would give us new perks for the bow, but also construct a bridge near Tyrannus' corpse, an Awoken-like bridge that leads to a mysterious portal. The portal teleports us inside a Vex structure. Could be any structure of the Vex, but throughout the mission it seems like we're kind of heading toward the Citadel, so maybe teleporting inside, or it's just someplace random. But in here we find a Vex symbol of the Ishtar Collective. The Citadel is in this mission for some reason, so is the Ishtar symbol. Bungie didn't need to add the Vex Citadel over the Black Garden, so there's clearly a purpose. It hasn't been there before. The Ishtar team explored the Citadel in their proxy bodies and unleashed the copies of themselves there into the Vex network. Now a Citadel is seen in the Black Garden and our Guardian finds an Ishtar symbol. Also note that this is in the lair of Tyrannus, so there seems to be a connection between Ishtar, the Citadel, and Tyrannus himself. Did Ishtar find Tyrannus and make a wish that he granted respectfully compared to creatures like Riven? The whole Wishkeeper card explains the future of the whims and how Tyrannus doesn't want to influence them. He doesn't want them to be like the other creatures like Riven. He wants them to have a new beautiful way of life, free of those external forces. Vex forces are often present in the Black Garden, given the Soul Divisive and the Black Heart's creation. So Vex shenanigans could explain why the Citadel or a Citadel appears here. But when you throw an Ahamkara in the mix and human research group that studied the Vex, things get strange. But Guardians, that's all we got for today's video, talking about the Citadel from Destiny 1 on Venus and now in Destiny 2 and its capabilities. The Ishtar team and their copies are likely going to appear in future storylines, and that's going to be pretty awesome. If you'd like to see some more Destiny lore and mysteries just like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.